Welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to talk about my first experience using the Garmin Catalyst at the track. At the end of March I had the opportunity to spend 3 days on Summit Point, Maine. This is a track I know very well. I've got thousands of laps on this track. So let's start. You start with the track once you've gathered the data, and here you can see I spent 3 days at the track. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday and Saturday were in the dry, Sunday was in the wet. So let's talk about how I use this. So my first session out, it's a car that's new to me. I know the track very well. I'm in the fastest run group with probably the slowest car. I'm on brand new street tires. I'm on Michelin Pilot PS2s, full tread, in a car that's unfamiliar to me. This is my first session out. In the morning, I did 3 sessions this day. The second session was cut short. Somebody dropped fluid. I'll skip that one. But let's talk about how I use the Catalyst. So first session out, did 12 laps. It tells me that my best lap was a 129. If I put all my segments together, I could do an optimal lap. And that's, I think, the really interesting thing about the Catalyst, is that it's not asking you to do something you haven't done before. It's asking you to put the pieces together and to do it again. So it said, I went out there, I did 12 laps. You can look at the lap times. My average was a 130. If I put all my pieces together, I should be able to do a 128. And the best lap I did was a 129.53. So as a reference, I've done 129s in my Mini and in the Porsche before, but I've never gone below 129 in any car I've had. So it tells me follow our advice and you should be able to do just below 129, 128.8. So where are the opportunities? And these are opportunities that I definitely know. It's carrying more speed through turn 9. My line is good. It's telling me my line's good, but I'm not carrying enough speed. Therefore, my exit speed's a little lower, and when I get to the end of the segment, my overall speed's a little lower. Second opportunity is turn 10. It's a similar experience. My line is good, but once again, I'm not carrying enough speed, and it's hurting me on the exit. So I need to worry about apex speed for those 2 opportunities. The third opportunity is more of a brake zone. I'm guessing at where my brake zone should be. I'm slowly closing in on it because I got better during the session, but it's telling me that I can compress the braking zone. And the way I can see that, it tells me my line is okay, but when I look at the braking zone that the optimal line is recommending versus my line, which is on this side, then that's really showing me the difference. And then down here, it's giving me a visual. And what was interesting, and I'll come back to this later, is it's telling me I've been braking well ahead of the 5 marker, and it's saying to get closer, about 50 yards from the 5 marker on the photo on the left. It's saying that this should be where I should start my braking. So compress the brake zone, brake harder, but brake less. But the interesting thing is at this point where I'm braking here, this is actually my optimal brake spot mark when I'm at full speed at the end. So when I look at my fastest lap at the end of the weekend, I was actually at the right spot. I wasn't for the speed I was going at the time that this lap occurred. So those are my opportunities. You can also look at how my apex is lined up. I'm apexing a little bit early. I should do a later apex, get around the corner further and then get back on. Speed's okay, but you can see that the effect of coming off, especially at the end of a long straight, and braking too soon, I'm not maximizing how long I could carry speed, because I should be able to compress the brake zone and carry the same speed into the apex. So the interesting thing about that, it says, if you look at these opportunities, one by one, you can then add them to the coach. So if you click this button, then all these opportunities will be added to the coach. And when you go out on track next session, it'll give you specific advice in order to achieve what it says you can do for these opportunities. So let's see how that worked out. So like I said, the next session was really a bust. Somebody dropped oil, so we didn't really get up to speed. So the next session effectively for me was this one. So in this session then, remember the previous one said I should be able to do a 28.8, and I did a 28.84. Now it said, put your act together, and you still need to work on turn 10 and turn 1, but now it's saying I'm doing better in turn 9. I need to concentrate on turn 3. And those are my opportunities. And then for each of the opportunities, it tells me for that opportunity, they're in order of how much could I save. I'm losing almost 0.6 of a second in turn 10. I'm losing again half a second in turn 1 and about 4/10 in turn 3. And so once again, I got two corners where I got to work on the apex speed, and the other one's about compressing the braking zone. So let's go back. Let's look at braking into turn 1. And once again, now you see that I'm lining up better, but it's telling me that I should carry my braking and trail brake a little bit further. And then I can brake a little bit later and a little bit harder. And then I'm going to carry more speed when I come out of it on the other side. So I thought that was really interesting. And then once again, I can add those opportunities, add those to the coach, and then head back out on the track for the next session. So finally, we put it together, go out for the afternoon, and now it's saying, oh, you did that. It told me before my optimal was a 128.5. My best turned out to be a 128.05, which is as best as I could do given the circumstances. So given this level of grip, given the best I've done all day, it's still saying there is some opportunity to improve, but my optimal lap and my best lap are very close to each other. But the interesting thing too also is to look at the variation. So if you look at my top 3 laps, I'm varying my lap time by almost 1%. And so that's one of the things from consistency standpoint, we want to see that get better too. And I'll look at that on the next day. So now it's saying 128.8, which is the fastest lap I've ever done up till now in my life. And we're going to go back out on the track the following day. So I'm getting better in this car because I'm more familiar with the car and the braking zone. My tires are getting better because they're finally scrubbed in, but I'm still, full tread depth, summer sticky tires, but summer tires in a group of high downforce race prep cars, and I'm having to manage space all over the track. So finally we come back on Saturday then. So same thing, come out in the morning, the act together in the morning, said, hey, 128.5 is my optimal lap. Starting to get my act together. It's in the morning. I'm able to do a 129. So I pick up, I regress a little bit, but I'm starting to pick up on the optimal. So I'm getting some of the sessions right. So I must have remembered something from the day before. They come out for the second session. So finally on the second session then, I plugged in all those things from the coach the day before, followed the advice, and did a 126.64. So variation lap to lap is still a little bit high, 1.3%, but my best lap time 126.64, and it's saying if I put all the segments together, 126.63. So that's pretty good consistency. Come back, look at the last session of the day. My lap to lap variation got a little bit better, so I'm a little more consistent, but I dropped a little on my lap time for that last session that I did. And so that's how I used it. And so one of the interesting things you can do, if I go in, I'll take that lap as an example, find that best lap, which is this one, then you can compare it. So if you want to compare it, you can compare it to your optimal lap. You can compare it to your best lap. If your best lap is better than that, and you can run them side by side, look how they look different. If I pull up this optimal lap, then it's going to show me this view, and I'm running where the car is on track, showing me some data about speed and timing. But the interesting thing here really is the export. So now they've added overlays, because in the past you could export the video, but you wouldn't get the overlays. So I'm going to overlay this, and it'll give me a delta. And that delta here is going to be the personal best. Now, this delta won't be very interesting because this is the fastest lap I've done, and I'm comparing it to the fastest lap I've done. But I will show you the delta from the next day, which is in the rain, which is saying, let me look at the delta between your optimal lap and the best lap that you did in the rain, and then the delta will make more sense. So after this downloads to the card, we'll bring it up on the computer, and then I'll show you what this video looks like on the computer. I've set it up so the Garmin's actually playing into my earbuds. So I've got Bluetooth, so I'm receiving the coaching advice through Bluetooth because I can't hear it over the speaker in the Garmin, and I don't have any stereo or speakers inside the car. So I'm just playing this into my helmet. Because a lot of times you confuse being busy for being fast. And that feel of hitting the right apex, picking up the throttle, you start to develop the feel of what is faster, and then you get confirmation that it was in fact faster from the red and green. And I actually really like that. So the only time I would ever glance down at the timing was as I crossed the start-finish line. And that was more out of curiosity than anything. And the way I tend to use the data is I'm interested after the session. So the feedback in the car, the coaching was helpful. The red-green I found very helpful. The GoPro has a built-in accelerometer, so it tends to work opposite the lateral forces, so that's why you get the panning right and left. So there you can see the green. That's a good example. I'm down 1.3 seconds. So I'm tracking to a 146 over. It's a delta, losing a little bit there. You can see my exit speed. And that was it. That was the best lap for me in there. So the final piece of video I wanted to share was the optimal lap video. And this is something you can actually see on the Catalyst device itself. It's not just something you can export. It puts these videos together for you. So in this one, I didn't export the data. But the interesting thing is what it's going to do is piece together the different segments into one video segment. And anybody who's familiar with iRacing, if you're familiar with the concept of a blinker, so somebody comes and goes as you're driving, and that's what it reminds me of, but it's very seamless. So in the middle of the corner, I'm going to pick up a blinker, and there's the blinker. And so this is piecing together segments from two different laps. Anyway, that's my experience. I'd be really glad to hear in the comments what your experience with Catalyst has been. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.